Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a Fear the Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the mid-season finale for Fear the Walking Dead Season 3. First one for this one, we're going to give our thoughts on Madison's strategy. And spoiler warning, if you are not caught up for this one for Fear the Walking Dead, which is up to Season 3, Episode 6, we have our double finale tomorrow night. Very excited to see it. Can't wait to see what happens with everybody, Troy, Madison, Walker, and how this whole thing works out, because really, again, pretty exciting with Fear. We have no comic book series. We have really no idea of what direction they're going to go, which characters are more likely to last longer, which characters be killed off sooner, and who's going to win this battle at the ranch between Walker and our ranch group, which is really our militia. So this one came in from Jason Cross. He said, "Hey Trev, Q&A. I really hope you see this. I have a theory that Madison is pushing Troy to be a leader and making him a hero. So when the time comes, she can push him in the wrong direction and make him the bad guy so she can possibly kill him and take over. I think this could be possible because she knows Jeremiah is old and probably doesn't have that much longer left, and she knows how weak Jake is. Maybe this is all a long-term plan to take over the ranch. What do you think of this theory?" So with regards to what Madison is doing, so to start, you could look at it this way. You could say, keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. That's one way you could look at what she's doing with Troy and what she started doing with him right off the bat, which is that she, sat right down next to him. She's like, right beside him all the way through. And, now part of that could be sort of her career, and because she was a guidance counselor and sort of helping troubled youth try to find some direction in life and some kind of purpose. So you could say that that's kind of, what she does, because she's done it so much. She's so experienced at it. She knows what she's doing, and that's kind of what she wants to do. So first of all, that's probably true, right? Which is very smart for her to do, because with her being right beside Troy, it's probably the safest place to be. If you're in opposition to him, or you're part of the ranch, but you're more on Jake's side and Jeremiah's side, and you make that stance known, it could be pretty dangerous, because then you're in opposition to Troy, and you really never know what he's going to do. One night he could go off and massacre a family or something. You just really never know. What I think is so smart about what Madison is doing in this case is she understands, because this is the thing, like, Madison is very smart. She's a guidance counselor. Obviously, she knows a lot. She would have taken him, if she went to college, university, which she would have to get the job. She would understand psychology. She would understand human development. She would understand troubled youth. She would understand people like Troy. She would understand what makes people evil and what pushes them in directions. And she would understand that Troy has a very high aggressive drive. His aggressive drive is much higher than most people, right? You can see it when he kills zombies and things like that. He is much more aggressive than most people are. He's not at peace, right? Also, of course, the troubled childhood, the trouble he had with his mother, and we've even seen her comment on this as well too, because a lot of times, these kind of problems, a lot of the time it goes back to the parents, and it goes back to the family and the childhood and the development, right? And you can go that way with all of us, pretty much, with almost everything. Nature, nurture, what you're born with, and then what happens to you and what choices you make along the way. So, but she understands that Troy's has this aggression in him. She understands that he's very, very dangerous. And so what she does, which is so smart, probably smarter than anything we've seen in terms of manipulating somebody, is far beyond what we've seen in the regular Walking Dead, is even smarter than that. Anything we've seen any of our characters do. She supports him in channeling his aggression, channeling his is he a psycho at this point? Well, if he's killing people and he's having his men systematically kill people for science to record how long it's going to take for them to come back, killing people at will, maybe not entirely enjoying it, but really not having any issues with it. She channels all of these problems he has and, his desire to kill, I would say, because at that point, if you're doing that kind of thing, I would almost say, like, okay, are you really doing this to try to learn something? Or are you actually doing this because you have, an increased desire to hurt others, right? And, these sadistic tendencies that Troy has developed, she kind of takes all of these drives that he has and she puts them in a direction, by saying in a supportive, suggestive manner. So he doesn't really know. She's not telling him, I'm in charge and you have to do this, right? What she's doing is she's kind of assuming the role of sort of a supportive mother that he hasn't had. This is how smart the character is, right? Because this is her deal. This is what she does, right? She's a pro. She does it in a suggestive way at the end of episode 6, and she gives him a suggestion, that you're gonna have to save us, Troy, right? This type of thing. You're the only one that can do it, giving his issues a direction to go in that benefits her. So that is one of the smartest things that I have seen from any characters in the Walking Dead universe. So even if you hate Madison, you gotta respect her game skills. You gotta respect, the carefully chosen words and the things that she's done with Troy, where Troy thinks he's the man. Troy thinks he's in charge. He's gonna be the hero. He's gonna save everybody, right? And really, it's probably just because she wants vengeance for, on the man who killed Travis. So if Walker's responsible for it, she's going to do everything in her power to get vengeance for that, and use Troy or use anybody else she has to take down Walker, and also at the same time to keep her family safe. This guy is very dangerous. She's seen what he can do and what he does do, killing people slowly, torture, this kind of thing. It's beyond just simple evil, right? More complex, more sadistic, I would say, darker evil, right? And she takes all of this in, and she channels Troy towards it. So that's pretty brilliant, man, for sure. Now, if that works or what happens after that, we're going to have to see. If Troy's going to be able to take out Walker, he might be able to, he might not be able to. We're going to have to see. But he's pretty much the only person there, I think, that would be able to, especially if you look at what Jake has done. Jake seemed like a really smart, good guy at first, which he is, but going to see Walker by himself, I would say, would probably make you think that he's probably not the right person to have in this kind of a battle, that even as messed up as Troy is, he's still probably the best person for Madison and her family to use in order for them to get vengeance for what happened with Travis. But you guys can write your comments below. Let me know what you think about this strategy. Man, that is really, really some advanced stuff psychologically versus what we're used to seeing in series like The Walking Dead, which is more action oriented. They usually don't get that much into this type of thing. But that's part of the reason why I love this season so much, and I really loved episode 6. So much in what Madison is doing. So I'm starting to like Madison more as time goes on. Elle Lawliet says, Q&A, is Madison the villain? We don't know if we are looking at how a villainous group grows organically from ordinary decent people. E.g., the governor had a normal kind of persona before, so it seems. Madison is extremely good at manipulating people, so nice one there, Elle. That's very true, which is a skill most of the Walking Dead world villains have had. That's true, the governor did have that. He did, make people think he was the good guy, and he had like heads, zombie heads in a fish tank in his room. Just like she's using Troy at the moment. Thanks for the vids, Trev. And you're right. There are some other characters too, like some villains in The Walking Dead that are pretty, manipulative or pretty intelligent. Negan is for sure in the things that he does. Even though he might just seem like some crazy jock swinging a baseball bat, right? But if we don't know we're looking at a villainous group, well, we don't know 100% about Madison. She's been a little bit wishy-washy on what happened with her her husband or ex-husband, Nick's dad, Nick and Alicia's father. We don't know. At one time she says it was an accident, suicide. We don't know. Is she responsible for that somehow? Did she get away with murder somehow before all this even started? She seems to kill Celia without much character, or first of all, without much time into the zombie apocalypse. She kills her pretty quickly, and also at the same time without much progression. Like, it almost seems like she hasn't really changed that much from the start of the zombie apocalypse, and yet she's willing to do that right away. So I would almost assume, based on what we've seen from the character, that she probably did kill her husband and got away with it, or ex-husband, so to speak, whatever the case was at the time, Nick and Alicia's father, and she just hasn't really told anybody yet, or she did it in such a way where it looked like suicide or it looked like an accident. So that's kind of what I'm thinking with Madison, because of the kill on Celia and how that just happened so there didn't seem to be from her almost any well, first of all, remorse, but then also there didn't seem to be. She was cold-hearted when she closed that cage, right? She was pretty, she was pretty cold when she did that. She didn't seem to be struggling with that too much. So that would almost lead you to believe that maybe she's done this before. So maybe Madison is a villain from the start, and maybe she has not organically kind of grown to be a villain. Maybe she's kind of always been this way. And some of the things she said as well too, calling Travis Travis the good man, right? Maybe viewing herself and her own, self-image as never being that good to start, like not being a good person before the zombie apocalypse started, and now it's just getting even worse. So is Madison a villain? I'd almost say she already is for what happened with Celia. If you go back and you rewatch those episodes there and what motivation she had and what she decided to do, that was pretty extreme considering everything, and her Celia letting them into their compound and that kind of stuff. Not to say that she was innocent either. She had been doing stuff and that she shouldn't have been doing, people committing suicide, stuff like that. But at the same time, for Madison to take her out like that is she kind of already is. I mean, in real life, you can't kill one person and not be a villain, I'd say. If you kill anybody, you're instantly a villain, I'd say, at that point. So I would think that Madison kind of already is, or at the very least, she's not 100%, a good guy, so to speak, or a good girl type of character already. Alicia and Jake going after Walker was really dumb and kind of heroic at the same time, hoping the guy getting beaten up in the promo isn't Jake. A lot of people think it looks like Jake, so I forgot to write down the name of the person who left that comment, so my apologies. But yeah, it was pretty dumb. But at the same time, for sake of the show, you need to have some dialogue between the two, even if it doesn't feel right 100%, like when Rick meets with the governor and they sit down, they have a drink, and Andrea's there. Rick doesn't just shoot him in the head. But people were like, why doesn't he just shoot him, right? It's kind of like, because you kind of need to have those sit-downs and those discussions in order to get that dialogue across. Even if you think maybe it's a bit contrived to have them meet like that, they still kind of have to do that in order to have it build, rather than just showing up and blowing each other to pieces, that kind of thing. Wolf's Gaming Den says, am I the only one who actually likes Troy? He's a pretty neat character. He certainly isn't a good guy character, but I've found him so far to be kind of interesting, to be honest with you. He doesn't, the only thing I find strange about Troy, he doesn't look, and maybe this is actually right. He doesn't look like a TV series bad guy. You see his face and stuff. He's got kind of a baby face, maybe even more of a baby face than I do. He's got like baby face and stuff. He doesn't look like he's been in too many fights before. He doesn't have much scar tissue. He doesn't have, he looks like he maybe exfoliates, moisturizes, right? He doesn't look like this badass psycho that's going to be killing people and doing all this kind of stuff. But, on one hand, so I was about to say at first that he doesn't look like a villain. He doesn't look like, the actor who plays him doesn't look like the character he should be. He should be looking more something, right? But maybe that's not true, because in real life, killers don't always look like, ugly and that kind of thing, and whatever, and nasty. A lot of times you could get some of the nicest looking people with sweater vests and stuff that that are the ones that are found to be psychos that go around killing people and doing stuff like that. So maybe, am I the only one who actually likes Troy? Yeah, I do like Troy as well too. The only thing, like I was going to say, is that he doesn't really look like the character he plays. But at the same time, like I said, maybe that's not, because in real life maybe they wouldn't necessarily fit the bill either. And a lot of times, if you get somebody who kills somebody and they're caught, a lot of times you might not think that they would look the way that they would. But I think Troy's a very interesting character, and a good kind of villain to have. Maybe close to, if you look at like Shane from the original Walking Dead, where he becomes like, he's a part of the group, but then he's also like a villain at the same time, and it kind of fights out between the group. That's always fun to see as well too, and to see them kind of join with Troy's group and Jake's group, and then to see what's happening here is it's really interesting. It leads for some really interesting storytelling for sure. We'll do a couple more. This one's from Brandon Hacker. He says, hey Trev Q&A, do you think Troy could take Nick's spot and be Madison's villain sidekick, so to speak? The two of them together would be unstoppable. Thanks for your great videos. Well, I do think actually Troy in a way does need Madison, because Troy is so consumed with aggression, and he's so animalistic with regards to that. He's not much of a... If you look at what happens with him and Walker and how he gets caught, he doesn't even realize that he's caught there on the rocks and surrounded. You know, Madison has to kind of tell him, like, hey, Troy, we're screwed. You know, don't start shooting people. They're going to kill us all. You know, that kind of thing. Because they've got the upper hand here. So he doesn't even realize at first that they do, but at the same time, he's very effective at killing and doing the things that he has to do. So, he might kind of need Madison in a way as a thinker, you know, as an advisor, because otherwise, maybe based on his age, maybe because he's too young, or because some other villains out there like Walker are pretty badass too, he could really benefit from having somebody like Madison to kind of steer him in a direction that makes sense. Otherwise, he ends up just killing people for science and stuff like this and doing whatever the hell else he's going to do, because he's just kind of nuts. Last one will be from Beaver790 Edits, and says, Fear the Walking Dead characters are seen more as normal people. The Walking Dead characters are mainly seen as heroes or comic booky type characters. I'll add to that. Fear the Walking Dead is way more realistic, which I like about Fear. And that's kind of true. A lot of people have seen it that way. Even Michael Cudlitz, who plays Abraham on The Walking Dead, even he said that Fear and The Walking Dead, even though they're the same universe, they often don't really feel like the same universe. And I think that's true as well too, with Fear being more kind of like a more drama and more realistic with regards to the characters being more like real people, and The Walking Dead being more comic booky and more action based and more like superhero type characters, which a lot of people have commented on. And I do agree with to some extent. Definitely the shows, they are different. We'll see when Scott Gimple comes on to produce for Fear next year in Season 4, what kind of effect that has, and if he makes it more like the original Walking Dead. We'll have to see what happens with that and what that looks like. That'll be it for today's video, guys. If you liked it, please don't forget, thumb it up below. Of course, check back tomorrow and tomorrow night for more videos for Fear the Walking Dead as we lead up to our big mid-season finale. Should be great. First half of Season 3, I think, already has been the best half of the season we've ever had for Fear. That's it for this video, guys. We'll see you again soon for another. As always, is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.